here's a quick timeline of blind accessibility in games specifically. So the Game Accessibility Special Interest Group was established in 2003. AudioGames.net, which is a very popular game for gamers with visual impairments, that was created in 2005. A game called Papa Sangre came out in 2010, which used binaural audio to be played without a screen. Swamp was released, which is an audio-only multiplayer first-person shooter in 2011, and people are still playing that game. Injustice: Gods Among Us was patched with an accessibility mode for blind gamers in 2003. It only took one sound. It was the sound of being able to interact with the environment that put blind competitive players back in the field with sighted players. So it was very important that they listened and they found a solution. It just took one little sound. Skullgirls was also patched with text-to-speech compatibility in 2014. They used a solution that basically grabbed the text with ClipTrap and then spoke it out with ClipReader, I think is how it worked. And they eventually added support in 2016 with Tolk, which is an open source screen reader abstraction library for Windows. Then in 2015, we had A Blind Legend, which received almost $50,000 in crowdfunding, and they also received public assistance from the French government. And that same year, Frequency Missing, which is a Swedish point-and-click adventure that was created by the University of Skövde, that has actually been translated since, released last year, I think, so it's now in English. But it's the only point-and-click adventure that I know of anyway that is completely blind accessible, and it's the same experience whether you're blind or sighted. There's no accessibility mode or accessibility options. It's the same game whether you're blind or sighted. And then in 2017, Zach Quarles from Microsoft, he wrote about designing sound for blind players in Killer Instinct. And up until that point, there wasn't a whole lot of input or output from the AAA industry when it came to blind gamers. So it was very, very, very important in that it was his article, which is very inspirational, but it's also extremely informational too about design decisions. And in 2018, we had Madden NFL 18, which became blind accessible through haptic feedback. And this was kind of an interesting story because Karen Stevens from EA, she actually became EA's first accessibility, she had accessibility lead. So she's one of the few people. There are now, I think, 8 or 9 people who have accessibility roles at companies, and it's starting to become more and more as the months go along. But she was one of the very first people to have an accessibility title, especially at a AAA game. And what's interesting also is that she is partially deaf, so she wanted to make it accessible for blind players, but she doesn't do sound design. And so she took the route of haptic feedback, and it works for fans of Madden. So, and then now, 2019, we have the CVAA and everything that's brought.